Hey, wherever you are in the world, I'm glad you're here. Glad you're joining us. Always excited for these new and different shows that come through that we all create. Never know where it's going to go. I always say, I'm like you. I'm not quite sure what we're going to end up talking about. I have an idea before we get on, and the animals all come and put their 2 cents in, and you all send photos and questions, and those all contribute to this wonderful community that we've got going. So I'm always like, can't wait to see what we do today. So happy, happy, happy Wednesday, and happy you are here and in the States about a week ahead of Valentine's Day. So I can't think of a better time to talk about kindness and all that goes along with it. So I see as you are getting in here and we're gathering around the table, it's like gather around the fireplace, gather around the table. We've got lots to talk about, right? So I was Barbara, hi from Vegas. Hello, Kat. Good to see you. And Amy Beth, good afternoon to you too. Yes, it just turned noon here. And Marianne, oh, I finally got to watch live. Good to see you. Good to see you too. It's so interesting whether you guys realize this or not. I can feel your energy. I can feel when you comment. It's fascinating. We don't see each other. You see me. I can't see you, but actually I do see you. I see you. And it's wonderful when we're seen as spirit, right? That's when we know we've truly been seen. And I think the animals certainly, gosh, they help teach us that because they see us as spirit. Um, Hi, Kara, good to see you. Hope Stetson's doing well. And Claire, oh, so good to see you. Hope you're doing well. And Katrina, yay. Love to see you. And Jennifer, oh, wonderful, wonderful, and wonderful story, Jennifer. Jennifer sent me an amazing email about some really like wows happening in her life with animals. Um, and I appreciate everybody sharing that. So, email me and tell me. I love to hear it. And I always pay attention. I always notice and love to meet all the people who come here every time and meet new friends. Let's keep on gathering because we're doing important work here and just in our time together. Hi, Tracy. You're making heart-shaped cookies. Oh, I love that. Oh, I used to have the best time with my kids and that, and Halloween too. Um, Heather, hi, Tami, everyone. Heather, Ollie, Georgie, and of course, Birdie are here. It's the gang, right? And Linda, hi. It's good to see you. Lori, hello, hello. Oh, good, Kara. Stetson's good. Great. That's excellent. Stetson is a newbie and a new love in her life. Hi, Alicia. It's good to see you. And Barb, oh, brilliant sunshine here today. You suppose you could send me some of that? It's a little gray here and hoping to get out for a bike ride later at 61 if it ever gets to that degree. We'll see. But the bears are starting to come out just a little bit. So if I catch any bears around when I'm out, I'll take photos and send them or videos even. But yeah, no, this topic of kindness, I think it's one of those words that we use so casually, and it is I don't know if you realize this, it's one of those words that is almost like it's got hidden power in it. It is what I would call a powerhouse quality, a powerhouse trait. It's full of all kinds of healing abilities that get awakened within each of us. So we each have our own, what I call a kindness code that we'll be talking about later on in the show. So while we're all gathering, I want to invite you, just where you are, to call in the energy of kindness right now. Call it in, invite it in. Kindness has a story to tell, and we'll be working with that a little later in the show. And Renee, if you would put up that first graphic while we're getting good and warmed up here, good and started. Um, I've got a beautiful graphic of one I've shown before, but if you're new, you haven't seen this. This is Murphy. He was, oh, what an amazing soul he was, and in my life, very, very important to me, to all the other animals. Very, very kind. You can look in that photo and just see how kind he was. He that actually I was picking tulips. I had planted a whole lot of tulips, and there's a great company called Color Blends that absolutely puts amazing colors together in case you want to take a look at that. But I had planted all these. I think these were called French blend. And I was out there, picking and taking, and he grabbed one of these. Being uh, the labbie he was, he loved carrying things, and I saw him, and so I took a photo real quick. That wasn't staged. That wasn't staged. And if you take a look at it, look at the energy. Just the energy emanating from him, and he's just being Murphy, right? He's just being Murph. Um, so that's where when we're talking about kindness, it, it's such, gosh, it's like a blossoming flower in itself. So Renee, if you'd put up that next slide, I saw this from a friend of mine who posted it, and I was like, I have to share it with you. I love it. You never really know the true impact you have on those around you. You never know how much someone needed that smile you gave them. You never know how much your kindness turned someone's entire life around. You never know how much someone needed that long hug or deep talk. So don't wait to be kind. Don't wait for someone else to be kind first. Don't wait for better circumstances or for someone to change. Just be kind, because you never know how much someone needs it. When I'm reading this, I just flashed back to when my father passed. I was 18. He passed suddenly and under very tragic circumstances. And I remember when I was out of college for a week or so, and I came back, and I remember looking around and saying to myself, everything looks the same. Kids are walking around, professors are out, the school looks the same, trees, classes, but everything had changed. My inner world had changed. And so I remember sitting in an American Lit class with a professor named Dr. Piacentino, very, very kind himself, very kind soul, but also kind of shy and not really extroverted. And so this particular class, it was the first one I had come back to. And so I was just getting used to things, and everybody left, and I was the last one walking out. And he came over to me and he said, I'm so sorry about your father. And I just remember looking at him, burst into tears, and he gave me a hug. It turned my whole life around, because in that very moment, I wasn't alone, right? I had somebody who acknowledged what had happened, um, in such a beautiful, kind way. So years later, when I saw Dr. P, I mean, years later, I made sure to tell him, look, of all the people, you offered kindness, and it made all the difference to me, because I did feel so alone. And he almost like didn't remember it, right? Because it was just who he was. But that's what I think that quote represents is we don't know. We don't know what that smile or what that hug will do. And it made a difference to my 18-year-old self. I'll tell you that right now. Um, so, I've always felt a kinship with kindness, perhaps because I didn't see it much growing up. And Renee, if you'd put up the slide while I'm talking about this, I'll tell you a story about this painting it is. So if you just leave that for a minute, Renee, I don't remember thinking a lot about kindness. I just remember feeling it. It was just a tenderness within, a warmth, a glow, and I recognized it. Like it was an energy that was part of my very soul. It felt very much like a friend. And it was with the animals that I felt kindness amplified within me. I'd often sit with them just soaking up their sweet energy. I went outside a lot because it was literal chaos inside and too much like negative emotion and you name it, crisis du jour. And so I would go outside, and what I discovered is that they had the same kindness energy. I didn't know they could name it that, right? But what I discovered is they had the warmth, the glow. It was a matching vibration. And not only did they shower me with kindness, they also knew how to receive it themselves. And it was natural to them, and they inspire us within us to express that. Now, the story in this painting is I was in a shop somewhere in North Carolina going through an art gallery, and I stopped at this and I stared at it. It caught my attention. I couldn't. I was riveted. It caught my attention. I couldn't move from it. I stared at it because I could feel the energy from this painting, and it felt just like me. It felt just like me, and even more, those dogs in the painting look like me. And so the person, I guess he was, the one in the shop, and I was like, "That's me." Like, and he goes, no, it's really not you." I know, "No, no, it's me. Like, you got like, this is me. Like, you see this? This is me." He goes, "Ma'am, this is a painting of the author's wife." I was like, "Oh, I know. She must be my sister because I know this is me." So I had to get the painting because it felt like it represented who I was, and I was stunned to have stumbled on it. And so I wanted to share that little, like, I argued with, "Oh, no, no, I'm pretty sure that's me." And I was thinking, "How did they know? Like, did they channel that?" So, the receiving I received from animals was so huge because it was kind of foreign to me, but the animals were pros at it. And I'll explain that, because from, 4 years old up, I was thrown into the caregiver role with a very, very high degree of caregiving, family, adults, et cetera, et cetera. And so I think when we're caregivers, you know, we're used to giving. It's that we got the masters on that one, but it's harder for us to receive. And it's something I feel like we all have to work on if we are in that, kind of a space where we like to give more than we like to receive. And the animals, if you'll think about animals, they'll just turn over. I mean, I pet Scarlet and she just like, she is like she's mesmerized, just goes and paralyzed. Um, they receive it so easily. Um, Kara is sharing that my friend's sister committed suicide a few years ago and she kept a journal. Actually, my father committed suicide. She kept a journal. One of the last posts she wrote was this: "To the nice lady at CVS that talked to me and asked how I was, thank you. You don't know how much you're speaking to me and caring enough to talk meant to me. Nobody had any idea that she was so down and so starved for kindness." That one lady made it enough big enough difference that she wrote about it. Just saying hello or asking someone how their day is or how they are does make a difference. Oh, that's such a beautiful, beautiful sharing and profound in what you're saying. It does make a difference, and we never know. Um, and so I'm pretty sure the receiving and the giving and receiving is a piece we all work on all the time. And, you know, I was thinking this morning, what we don't realize sometimes is when we turn away from receiving, we not only miss a kindness opportunity, right, for ourselves, but we cancel out the other person's experience of giving. I've never thought about that, um, as deeply as when it finally hit me that's I would cut myself off, like, "No, I don't need help. I'm okay. Like, got this." And that comes from a lot of, the way I was raised or the way I handled my life, the survival mode. So it really, when you think about it, how you feel when you give and how you feel when you receive, it's a huge energy, right? It's a huge energy. Heather says kindness isn't everyone. People, animals, it can be the hugs, it can be the smile you give someone, it can be just an eye contact. It's a feeling we all share. It's a secret weapon to make us all feel loved. Own it, enjoy it, be you. What beautiful sentiment. That's almost, that's like a Hallmark card. You might want to hang on that one and then jot that to somebody. I've often just spur of the moment written notes to like servers or, people that I really appreciated that I just, we didn't have much of an exchange other than some energy was exchanged, right? The energy is exchanged between us, just like here. Um, Martine says the neighbor lost let's see, twice 2-year-old wait a minute. 2-year-old cat she looked after. Her neighbors just went indoors. She cried, and I listened to her story. Her young cats passed after being hit by traffic in the street. 2 pets, and I listened to her. She needed to talk about it. Soon after was just a little more time from myself. Adore animals. Yes, you are an animal magnet and an animal whisperer. We all have that. We all have that gene. We're all in that same soul family. Um, and they are always loving us and love them all, sharing telepathy. Thank you, Martine. That's so beautiful. Um, you know, and I have a note about this that I thought about with the kindness piece is abused animals. So, like humans, they often feel unworthy of kindness and they may recoil initially, unable to receive it fully. I don't know if any of you had that experience. I don't know if Stetson Kara has done that. He's a rescue and he's had a really hard life. It's like they almost can't believe they're worthy of it. And I know from feeling that myself, when I was young. But the beautiful thing here's about kindness. It goes to work the minute it's activated, often in a time release fashion, similar to Dr. Piacentino and giving me that hug. It activated the energy of kindness, which is a powerhouse energy. And I had a dog named Annie who had come to me. She's a little basset hound, and she had 3 puppies. They came at 2 days old, and the other 2 died, and then, Henry lived, and so I kept both of them, and Annie I always felt like Annie never really could let go of her sadness. She always carried, like, I don't know if it's sad mother energy, sad she had other litters, there's still like there's just always a sadness in her, but she came around so beautifully to receive kindness, but she was a really good example of didn't feel worthy. She'd been beaten down so much. So, whatever we think is little is usually pretty big when it's coming to kindness. There's nothing little about kindness. Janet says, 2 years after my mom passed, she visited me as spirit. Her last communication in that visit was, I wish you could feel what kindness really feels like. Wow, that's amazing. Now, I did tell you guys to bring your supplies and like your notebook and your heart and your Kleenex. Like, did Tammy bring her Kleenex? No, but that's all right. If I sniffle up, it's okay. It's not like I hadn't done it before. Thanks, Janet, for sharing that. That's so beautiful. Um, and Kat said my Wiley cat had been severely abused and traumatized, and he never fully trusted children again. But the kindness he gave when loved unconditionally was beyond any ever I've experienced. Wow. You know, we each come with our own like code, like I said, and we each come with our own experiences and our own interfacing of that. Robin Severin says kindness is a choice. I agree. I agree. Kindness is a choice. And it's not like we necessarily have to wake up in the morning and say, okay, on my list to do today, I'm going to be kind, right? I think it comes with our package. If we just go out in the world, it's like, presence speaks with Eckhart Tolle, it's that the kindness speaks too in huge volumes. So, the animals, when I would hang out with them, uh, how do I say that? Like, shared with me energetically, shared with me on a way I could understand energetically and got it and was able to translate. They were saying, kindness is an aspect of love, which is why it's so powerful to give and to receive. Renee, if you'd throw up the slide there next. I'm loving that you're still all coming in and Patty's joining us. Um, Kindness lives within all beings. It's like a hidden treasure waiting to be discovered. And so, if that's the case, then we all share the soul path of kindness. Animals, people, something desperately needed in the world today, right? I mean, all we have to do is look around. Um, Renee, if you'd put, up the Zia and Shoto slide, I'm going to ask you all, what roles do animals play in kindness? And I had Dawn reach out to me, and she was like, "What kindness lessons do my animals come to teach me? Zia is kissing me, and Chodo is my other dog here." So if you remember my Murphy photo and you take a look at this one, I'm as you read intuitively with me, what are you feeling and seeing here? If just, if you wanna put in the comments, any words that pop in, anything that, drops in that you're reading from this, because as I've told you and I've shared with you many times as I do with photos, photos are blueprints of information, huge amount of information. The animals love, sharing themselves through the photos. So, you know, what lessons? What are they giving her here? Alicia says joy. Claire, heart opening. What's the look on her face? Like, can we pinpoint that? Like, I know it's joy, but is it a forced joy or is it a spontaneous, like, can't hold it back joy? Heather says love. Martine, connection. Robin, the smile says it all. I know, doesn't it? Isn't that the most beautiful photo of souls being souls together? Happy, ecstatic. Barbara says she has a look of glee. Oh, I love that. I hadn't heard that word in a long time. I love glee. Um, what about the animals? What are the animals? Think about what Murphy showed in his photo. What are they showing? Catlin says complete acceptance. Kara says happiness. Is there a soft or a gentle energy to them? And is there a difference between the two? Photos speak volumes, right? What are the animals trying to tell us? What lessons do they want us to know? Because they guided Dawn here, they guided the question so we all could benefit from it. Patty says comfort, and Alicia says they're giving love, happiness. Yes. Isn't it interesting how you pick up all this information? Jeff says living in the moment, pure love. And animals don't have to say a word, do they? They don't have to say a word. That's the beauty of it. We always read them telepathically and energetically because they read energy too, and we do it. Everybody's like, "I'd like to be an animal communicator." I'm like, "Psst, you are. If you've got animals, psst, you are." Heather says total happiness and love, and Martine says wisdom. Yeah, I agree. So Dawn, I feel like the kindness lessons it's like I get a feeling of like a teamwork, like the 2 of them are teaming up. Each has its own gifts to share with you, but there's very much a feeling of the 3 of us. The 3 of us doing, going through life together. This we're gonna journey and experience the adventure. There's such a freedom in this photo. There's such a freedom in your face and in the animals that are like, "Of course, we've got this." So the kindness lessons, oh my goodness. So, what did you here to teach you? Belief in yourself, open, unbridled joy, and that it's okay to be that way and to shine. There's definitely that shine element here. Kat says animals don't care if we make a mistake. They love and value us for who we are at a soul level rather than our human level. I agree very much with that. I would also say they see our spirits, right? They see who we are. And, a lot of people go around in life just seeing roles, seeing uniforms. They see what they are there to do in the moment when they're people behind all that. Um, so, how do we describe kindness then? Renee, if you'd put up the Gunner slide. This is sweet, sweet, sweet Gunner. Jolene's Gunner. He is ugh, he's such a sweet dog. So how do we describe kindness? Looking at this photo, let's do it again. Soft, active, gentle, peaceful. And what else? Healing, transformative, open. Sweet, you're saying. Aren't you know, I'm so glad Jolene shared this, and I'm always so glad when you share your photos and questions because we all benefit. So, and if you don't, if I don't get to them on the show, don't give up. Keep submitting them because believe it or not, I notice every single one that comes in. And then the animals have started jumping into the show, as you can see, saying we need to share. Um, oh, what a love! Open to joy and love. Cat says Gunner's face should be a syndicated stuffed animal. So true. You know, angel face. Don't you feel and with Jolene, he has a very deep, deep connection with her. Very sensitive to her. It's like they're twin souls, he's saying. Um, and Kara said animals forgive a lot more than people. Uh, their ongoing acts of kindness never stop. So, Gunner is in a situation where he's having to share his space with some other dogs in the family that come with her daughter. And Gunner's having a little bit of a hard time because he doesn't know where his space is anymore. And so, um, when we start seeing that in our animals, we have to realize that it's not that they're not going to get along, it's that there has to be a respect kind of the space feel. And that is for all of us. Think about that. So, Jolene, I think Gunnar is working diligently to get balance, he says, and help you with balance. But he definitely wanted to jump in the show today to share about the kindness because he feels very kind. And I know you had shared that you come home from the office after having a terrible day and you don't feel like being nice to anybody, and he will be so excited to see you. He'll ooze kindness, and his tail will wag 100 miles per hour. I don't know if you've ever read seen the calibration of vibration of a cat's purr or a dog's tail wag. It's like um very, very high vibration. And so they can change the energy in a minute just by that body language with the tail or the purring. She said, he knows when I'm upset and sad. And even when I'm unkind to myself. Oh, I hear you. Honestly, just to pet him, get hugs and kisses, and snuggle up with him for a few minutes gives me a feeling of self worth and patience. It's interesting. They're like our little blankies. We hug him. I remember as a kid just hugging the animals and just soaking, just like sinking into them. Alicia says, my Indiana was a lot like that, so full of love. Claire says, Gunner's eyes draw me in deeply. Oh, yes, me too. That's why, I had to share because first of all, he insisted. And secondly, um, I feel like he's teaching all of us, right? What do we do when our balance gets off? What do we do when we're not kind? How do we treat ourselves? How do we treat others? There's a lot going on here that he wanted to share, and I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't pop in further. So, Renee, if you would put up the little detective slide, I did a little slide for you, and I thought, well, I'll share it with you. So, animals are undercover kindness and love agents. They spark and awaken the very parts of us that make us kindness agents in the world, too. And as you can see, they're all doing their own little detective work, and you got the little dog and the nice little Valentine envelope, and the cat and the dog with the sign, choose kindness, and then the little mouse underneath, the tiniest creatures, um, with sometimes the tiniest have the biggest jobs, right? And then the bird or the parrot is parrot. I don't know if that's a parrot. At any rate, it's a bird, with a little heart on its chest. It's something that they came here to help humans with, and we may or may not have even known that. So, question for you: do animals show kindness to each other? In what ways? And Renee, if you would put up the next slide. I'm curious. Have you ever had that? Have you ever experienced it? Watching animals be kind to other animals? I think I ran across an article that I posted about just that with a cat and a dog. And while you're thinking about this, and I'll explain this photo in a minute, Jeff says Gunnar seems very intentional in his kindness. Yes, he's enjoying giving comfort. Yes, he's a healer. Gunnar's a healer, and he's very deliberate with Jolene. Very deliberate. Um, so this is Snoopy on the right and little Katie when she had pretty much first come to me. She was 3 months old, and I've shared this before on some shows, and I've shared about Katie and Snoopy. But Katie had terrible, terrible mange, and I found her in the brush, and she waited there all day. Apparently, other people had seen her, but then you know I passed, and I could feel there was a animal there, and I turned and looked, and so I pulled over and my son was with me, and he jumped out and he was going to go get her, and she snarled at him. He's only 3 months old. She snarled at him. He's like, I'm not touching her. So he gets in the car and I go over to her, and she's looking at me, and I said, I'd be happy to help you. If you want to come to me, I'll hold you and I'll take you and I help you. And she kind of belly crawled her way to me, and when I picked her up, she put her head on my shoulder. I wanna say it was my left shoulder, and that was that. She came to me and spent the most amazing life we spent together. Profound in what she was on the Murphy team. Um, m but even up until when she passed, if I picked her up, she'd put her head right there. So see, even that, like, oh my gosh, how did she know I needed that kind of kindness, right? Um, so I'm watching you comment, and you're saying, yes, Alicia, yes, I've seen animals give kindness to each other. And Snoopy's caring for. Snoopy was like Mary Poppins. She cared for everybody. She watched after everybody. She made sure everybody got in. And at a great portion of her life, she was completely blind. This dog could see everything. I've got whole stories about how she saw things I didn't. And then was like, well, if a blind dog could see it, yeah, other dogs are going to be able to see it. So I'd love to see some of your comments. Like Barbara says, we have brother and sister dogs. Their interactions are so beautiful, so caring and kind. I love that you're capturing that in your mind's eye, and you're able to share that. Um, and I'd be interested, what kind of interactions are they doing that are caring and kind? And Jennifer says, absolutely, they comfort each other. Tank used to lay with Maggie when she was going through cancer treatments. Ollie now gives Josie kisses when she isn't feeling well. I'm telling you, they are amazing. They're like these little powerhouses of oozing a kindness, and it's just so easy for them. And so Claire says, when we all show kindness, human and animal, the whole vibration of the planet rises so that we can all grow and evolve. Kindness leads to so many more soulful, wonderful gifts. Well said. I totally agree. They elevate us, right? They uplift us. Kat says Angel gave Guppy new life after his dad passed away. She had been sick and is an angel in every way. Boy, aren't we lucky? Doesn't it take a village with us? These beautiful, beautiful souls and angels that are helping us. And Susie said, my cat locks my dog's heads when they're snuggling. Did you mean lick? I'm pretty sure he did. My rescue dog, Rudy, seems apprehensive to receive her kindness. That's funny. Um, you know, Sometimes it's startling when another animal is faced with kindness, right? And they're not quite sure, like, what is exactly you're doing. So it may take them to get used to it just a little bit. Yeah, licks. Okay, that's what I thought. um, Heather says, "Oh yes, they do show kindness. I know when Bertie passed away, Ollie was devastated. Georgie took over after Bertie passed, kept Ollie going with her support and love kisses. They definitely do. So how do they know to do that? Like wonderment. How do they know? It's like they came equipped with it so that we humans could understand it as well. Um, Patty says, I love hearing how they came to you. Oh, Patty, the stories I could tell you. Patty is my dear friend and helps me on the property, helps care for all of the animals. and is just the most wonderful animal whisperer herself. And I'm just so blessed. And there are all stories with the ones that came. And, Snoopy actually came from the shelter where I was volunteering with my son. And she would be in the shelter kennel with all these other dogs, and everybody but Snoopy got adopted every time. So they'd empty out a kennel, they'd put another 3 or 4 dogs in with all those dogs would get adopted. And I learned from her, she was actually kind of the ambassador for getting, like, she was already doing the Mary Poppins thing, and then she got adopted. I helped her get adopted. Then she came back, and I remember I didn't know, I was like, "What are you doing here again?" And so anyway, long story short, obviously, she came home with me because she came back at the 11th hour, and they were getting ready to do a clean sweep with animals who had been there too long or who were B-backs, I affectionately call it, and she was a B-back. And so I looked at her and like, "Oh, I think you're supposed to come with me." And I'm so grateful because she became such an integral part of my family, my children, my animals, everybody. She's amazing. Um, so, we're born, this is so excited to share this with you. We're born carrying our own kindness code, our own special way we interface with others in the world. How we embody and embrace kindness is an important part of our soul signature and unique to each one of us. I don't know if you've ever thought of it that way. In our individual lives, we get opportunities to activate kindness and use it in our own special way. So kindness, I say it's an underrated word. It's an underrated understanding of that word is one of the most powerful yet unnoticed energies in the world. It can seem small, insignificant, yet once activated, it reverberates out, creating a ripple effect that positively touches anything in its path. And the thing is, we were like, we got the software. We were hardwired. We get it. Animals do. Humans may have forgotten that piece, unless they then receive kindness themselves, and then it awakens it from being dormant in them. So kindness is a healing energy. Hearts are melted, bodies are relaxed and healed, and minds open. And you know what? The fascinating thing about kindness is it's a renewable resource. Think about that a minute. It's something that can be called upon all of our lives to be used for others, ourselves, or the world we live in. And how we do that depends on our own unique kindness code. And you know, if you've experienced or somebody's experienced so much hurt, so much suffering, they may feel like there is no kindness in the world. But that's usually when somebody just happens to walk by and offers us something. The universe steps in. It's like, sending in the superpowers that come in the form of earth angels, right? That just come into our lives and help us. So it's always something we can pull out within us. And, even at the end of our lives, we can give kindness by perhaps offering someone to help us, allowing that receiving piece in. And so, it's interesting what I'm about to tell you. I want to share a personal experience I had several years ago. So, one day, I was hanging out in the barn with the dogs and Inky the cat, and she was busy running up and down the loft. She loved to like drive the dogs wild, and she would look over and like no 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 no, and they would go wild. They'd just be running. And this was a busy Tuesday. Lots of people on the property, so all the dogs in day play in this big barn were hanging out, and they're chewing. I have these baskets with bones and whatnot that they get. I just wish they'd learn to take them and put them back up. But, and we have some furniture and stuff in there. So everybody's slopped around, chewing, walking around. I'm sweeping. Some were napping, right? Uh, and some were following me like little ducklings as I swept. So I felt super content and peaceful. And we were such a family. It was just, you'd hear all the mowers outside, and it was like chaos outside. And it was this beautiful space created in this barn together. And so I'm sweeping. All of a sudden I hear gift foundation. So I'm like, turning around, thinking one of the dogs said it because it startled me. It came out of nowhere. Nobody was like, they were all busy. They were like doing their own thing. So I'm like, okay, pretty sure I heard that. So I sweep some more. And then I keep feeling this alive energy with it. And it wasn't shortly after that. I'm like, what just happened? What just, I heard that gift stood for give it forward today. And that it was meant to be a foundation. It was meant to be a nonprofit, and it felt like a news flash coming through, and that all the animals and the energy supported that, and it was like, whoa, this seems very expansive. And I'm actually getting chills telling you about it because I originally had planned to share this with you, and then I thought, no, I'm going to take up too much time, so I pulled it out. And Renee and I were chatting before the show, and he was like, no, ma'am, you put that right back in. So that's why I'm sharing this. It was like I'd been given some type of instruction, um, some type of like something that was starting. The more I let the energy percolate around and within me, the more I felt certain I was supposed to create just that. So I have a nonprofit called the Gift Foundation, standing for Give It Forward Today, to help people and animals in need. And the animals were 100% behind it. And it was such a, it's such a vehicle to let kindness pass through and be received and to be shared that I'm so glad I didn't just shut it down. And so, when I tell you this, it's it's something that when you feel moved, what moves within you moves without. And so it motivates the steps you take in your life. And that apparently was on my agenda to do. And to date we've helped it, the Gift Foundation has helped so many people and animals, and it's got a beautiful energy to it. And I thought I just need to share that because it's part of what the animals are doing with the kindness in the world. So if you're ready, I want you to buckle up, settle in. I want you to drop into your heart as if you already aren't. I feel like you are. I can feel all of you. And feel the warmth. Just a minute. Settle in, just feel, let's create a space like I did in the barn. Let's create that energy. It's already here in the show with us. We're in the room together, warm, inviting energy. And so this is what I'm calling discovering and activating your own kindness code, personal to you. So, you ready? You're the narrator of a story that is from the past. Just see if one drops in, see if you can grab one. Through the narrator's eyes, this is you. Look back on your childhood and just see if a memory surfaces. To capture a memory of kindness shown or received or just witnessed. It can be a memory with an animal or person. It might be in a group of people. It might be in a shelter. It might be anywhere. It might be within your own family. See if one surfaces. And for this, our time together, you may have to take this and work with this later. But that's why I wanted to share it with you, because this is a time released kind of practice and exercise we're doing, because this is something we can do over and over again. It's like evergreen, always fresh, going to renew itself. You can always go back and pull memories like this. So hopefully you've grabbed one or one dropped in. And next, if you've got your memory, jot down the words, the feelings. And Renee, if you run class that slide, put it up. Scenes, anything that recreates the memory, anything that pops in. Don't have to be full sentences. Just grab it. If it comes, grab it. What was felt? What was seen? Flashes, colors, anything. What elements were present? Anything in the scenery that stands out? Were you the receiver or the giver? Or were you the observer? How did that kindness get activated within you that you intuitively recognized? Now, what I mean by that is this is your own kindness code, and you may not recognize it. Why? Because it's so natural to you. You're going to have your own signature energy. It's a soul signature energy that prompts you to feel it and also prompts you to give it. And, whether we give it or receive it, as we've all, we all benefit, right? We all benefit one way or the other. The receiver benefits, the giver benefits. It's all one and the same. So if you've got that, and just, like I said, you may not be able to fully finish it while we're here on air today. Um, I want you to take a next step. Renee, if you'd pull up the next. Your narrator of a present day story. Something that you've experienced recently, maybe, perhaps even this week. Anything. Could be you walked by the UPS guy and you exchanged something. Did you see any kindness? Did you feel kindness? Did you offer kindness? So what energies were present? Again, go back into feeling what it is like, feeling like you're looking at a photo. Pick up all the energy that's orbiting within that memory scene, which is a memory photo, right? Any themes you recognize? Did it involve an animal? Did you have an opportunity to experience something with an animal? What was your role in the story? Again, giver, receiver, observer. And how did you know what to do? What moved you? And if you are thinking, well, Tammy, it was my heart. I would agree, but dive deeper into that. What about your art? Did it feel warm? How did you know to act? How did you know that you were in the presence of kindness? How do we know? So, last, one more step. You're the narrator of today's story. What does kindness look like today for you? And how will you activate it? Oftentimes, I mean, I don't necessarily put on my kindness hat before I go out, but it's always there. It's just a way of being, and that just it just I came wired with that, and so it's not like I have to think about it, but it's like I get lots and lots of opportunities for it, and it just makes me feel connected to each other. I think that the kindness connects us, and kindness being an aspect of love. Whew, you got a powerhouse power at your disposal at any time. So how will you activate it? How will it be activated in you? So I'm going to give you a suggestion. And Renee, if you'll put up that last slide. Use code GIFT. Your kindness code is your gift to others, yourself, and the world. So just like the foundation, give it forward today, and you'll never go wrong because that's your own special way, special opportunity that you have to expand as a soul and expand other souls so that we're all in it together. Animals, humans, it's a beautiful energy and it's so needed today. So, Renee, if you'd put up that last slide, it's my quote, Tami quote. If we cultivate loving kindness, no matter where we are, we create an energetic trail for someone else to step into. And I know just from knowing you all and knowing all the wonderful people who join us live, who join us on the replays, you all have your own special ingredient and special way you get to offer it, just unique to you. Now, we may all share, say, oh, that was a kind act, but how we actually interface and embody that is our own. And it's a gift we were all born with. And so Heather says, Tami, you give us kindness with your teachings. You have shown me the way from what you say and do to help all of us. Aw. So yes, you are an angel in my eyes. Well, thank you, because I so appreciate all of you, because we're all, again, creating this courtesy of the animals who draw us together. Uh, just like for this show, for instance, the concept for it, the inspiration for it, don't laugh, came to me while I was in hair and makeup. And I don't mean like the formal kind, I mean like the normal kind where you're trying to get yourself together in the morning. And I heard animals and how we meet kindness in the world. And I'm like, what? So I run out of there. And honestly, I'm a Leo rising, so it's about the hair, and there's a window of time you can do anything with it. And so I'm like, great. So I run and I get my book and I'm writing it down. My hair is drying. So it was a whole episode of this coming in early, and it stayed, and it indicated, or it made it communicated to me that this was definitely something we needed to talk about today, especially on the heels of or on the precipice, I guess, of, in the States, Valentine's Day. What better way? What better way? And all those little, like, Winnie the Pooh kindness graphics and Snoopy kindness. I know all of you know what I'm talking about. We've all seen them and all the memes. So feel free to share them. I'd love to see all the ones you come up with. And I'd love to hear um, how kindness has influenced you in your life. I'd love for you to chime in here on the show what you've learned from kindness, or what's your personal experience of it, so that we can share in that as well. And you can always post it in the group, you can post it on the public page, you can email me. I'm always so glad to share, and sharing the experience with you. And so in our time left, I'd love to get to some photos and questions. And you know what, I'd love for all of you to help me with this, um, because we're all sharing in the beautiful ways the animals reach us. So Renee, if you would put up the questions. This is Levi, our most recent rescue. Look at Levi. He is unable to see up close and he bumps into things, but he shrugs it off and continues on his way. His heart is full of love and pure kindness. All he asks for is to be loved back. Oh my gosh, who could not love Levi? Look at the face. Look at the heart within the face. His eyes, his whole being emanates just deep appreciation and deep kindness. And it's interesting, just like with Snoopy, animals develop an insight, an inner sight that is even more profoundly powerful than being able to see. I know Snoopy certainly had a superpower of it. Um, So with Levi, he shares all of that with us, that he sees no limitations. And I love the way I'm using the word see. So this is what the animals do. They start making me say things. So thank you for sharing, because he definitely is I'm feeling so grateful. And so he says he's so aware of kindness. And it was really important that you reach out. So thank you for sharing Levi with us. And then this is D. This is Theo, Molly's new little brother. Isn't Theo adorable? constantly licking her around her mouth. "Well, what's going on with that?" Like, after a while, Molly was like, "What?" Give her paw and give him a little tap to get him to stop. She says she's very polite about it, by the way. Even then, sometimes he won't give up until I tell him to stop. And sometimes when we just talk to him, his tongue is licking the air. I clean his eyes in the morning and he licks the washcloth. What is with that? Dee, I'm feeling very strongly it's a soothing mechanism. It's definitely a like a repetitive soothing mechanism. I had a basset hound named George that did that, and it was just he would go into his own little world. But it's definitely, I don't think there's anything amiss, and as long as Molly is, it seems like Molly's handling it. I get an eye roll from her, like she's putting up with it, but then she has to like, okay, I'm done. So, it doesn't seem like anything is amiss here, and I wouldn't worry about it. I don't know that I would actually pay too much attention to it, except do realize that he is going into that soothing mode just on his own. So that's, in a way, that's a good thing as long as he's not hurting anything. And I want to point out to you, because I know Dee mentioned this, look at his nose. Do you see how hard on that nose? Look at his nose. Is that not cute? So thank you for sharing, Theo. We're also glad that he is here. And Marge, oh, look at Isla. This is Isla. Sunday, she looked at me, wiggling her tail and smiling. She started up the ramp on the bed, let out a scream, and fell over in pain. She lost the use of her back legs. I took her to the emergency vet, and she had ruptured at least one disc. The vet said cost would be $4,000 to $8,000 for surgery, and he couldn't promise she would walk again. She was whimpering and panting. I knew she was in pain. I loved her so much. I helped her cross the Rainbow Bridge, but now I'm feeling horrible guilt, and I can't stop crying. I loved her so much. Oh, Marge, we share, and I can feel that we all would say, I'm so sorry that this has happened. And it's such a profound experience when we get faced with these tragic, in the moment, hard decisions to make. I get the strongest feeling from her of just like a whew, like glad that's over. Not glad that she's not in her life with you, but glad she not in the body that was not going to work for her. She also is giving me the feeling of being kind of like considering herself very pretty and able to do things, and very feminine energy. And so for her, she wouldn't have wanted to be that way. And I know, and what I want you to know, Marge, is that when we participate, when we're with an animal, when then the euthanasia talk, or where they pass on their own, just know that all animals are part of that soul path of their leaving, all of them, even if it looks sudden, even if it looks what we would call wrong. She wants you to not feel guilt, especially, and she is referring to February 14th. So I don't know if you used to do something with her special that day, but she is wanting you to, oh, she's saying, oh, we want you to smile again, and please try to do that. Um, and she's referencing February 14th. So I'm wondering if you couldn't do something in honor of her that day. Uh, Yes, definitely. There's a super energy around that. Um, and if I'm happy to work one-on-one with you further for all kinds of situations, and we can do a deep dive in a private session and uh, really help facilitate the opening and the healing. And she says that she was a little healer, and she is continuing to be. And so sending you so much love and support from all of us. And please, please let me know how you're doing. And so I got one more here. I was just wondering how our sweet Odie is doing. This is Kelly. He's a gray face guy in the picture. We had him for 14 years and miss him so much. So Odie insisted on getting my attention, so much so that he indicated, he was like, I've been here before. And I was like, You think? You think you have sent a photo? Like, have I seen your photo before?" And he was like, I've been here before, and so has my person." And so, in my asking back and forth with Kelly about a photo, she's like, "Yeah, no, I have never sent this." So Odie, it was doing a little nudge thing, definitely to get on the show. So to tell you that he is definitely he's using heart dog. Definitely you're all heart dog, and it was really super important that he get here so you'd know, because February is February, he says, and he is there's something that some kind of project, some kind of he's wanting to team up with you. He wants to let you know he's going to help you with it, whatever he's referring to. So thank you so much for sharing that. And you know what? Thank you all for being here. We couldn't have the show without you. The animals, us. Isn't it beautiful? I can't wait to see you next time. Let's always keep the conversation going. Bye.
You've been enjoying Tammy's Soul Speak featuring animal intuitive and medium Tami Hendricks.